You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
Get your free inventor's information. Call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My name is Jessie. I'm a United States Special Forces widow. This gives me a unique perspective on the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for Point of View.
All right, this is Jessie. How y'all doing out there today? Oh, what a day. All right. We've had Sam rocking it out of the park, followed up by G with the Misfits. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. Now, I had to do my own show prep, so I wasn't listening all the time, but I was popping in and out. And, well, for the first time in a dog's age, I am joined by Dave, Ron, Josh, Bohemia, JR, Rick, Rex, Slick, and Mike in the chat room. Awesome! It's so much fun to actually have you guys in the chat room. All right, so what has been going on in the world? Oh my gosh. And just to let you know, you can find me on Twitter, Jessie's POV, and you can shoot me an email at the station, Jessie's POV at KLRNRadio.com. Now, that's my show prep. Now, for those of you that are new listeners to my show, well, I don't cover U.S. politics. Sorry, you'll have to talk to everybody else well, not quite everybody else, but most everybody else on the station for that one. What do I cover? Military and international stuff. And, oh boy, North Korea got me today. I'm floored. Yes. We may have finally brought Kim Jong-un, otherwise around here known as Quackers, to the table. The North Korean diplomats aren't known for doing press conferences, okay? Let's start off with that. They are not known for doing press conferences. Well, North Korea delivered a rare statement today at the UN Security Council. Of course, they did all the usual rhetoric about, unjust acts of the United States and unjust conditions on its offer to talks. But this is the first time they've mentioned the word talk without using the word no right with it. In fact, I'd play the audio, but you don't want it. Trust me. North Korean press conferences. Audio? Yeah. Not! North Korean press conference audio is not worth playing. Let me just trust me on that one. I've played some before. It took me forever to clean up, and you could barely understand them after that. But, so, Deputy Ambassador Kim said it would be a fatal miscalculation by countries to believe that the latest sanctions will, of course, deter North Korea from developing its nuclear forces. No kidding. This being said, the activity at the North Korean nuclear test site has slowed to a crawl. I mean, come on. This month alone, the UN Security Council put 14 North Koreans and 4 entities on a sanctions blacklist, hitting them with a global travel ban and an asset freeze. And I'm not the biggest fan of UN Security Council, but this time, way to go, guys. They got it. They got it right this time. So, yes, Dave, I can understand the North Koreans when they give their press conferences, but I do have to record them and take them slow. And you wonder why I don't play the audio on air. And you can hang out with me over in the chat room at KLRNRadio.com if you wonder who I'm responding to. And there's more. But that is the biggest North Korea thing that caught me today. I think we might be getting somewhere. Now, of course, the U.S. has updated military options for North Korea, and the plans are ready to be presented to President Trump. Now, if Pyongyang does a nuclear test or a ballistic missile test that indicates the regime has made progress towards a weapon that could attack the U.S., let's just say he's been known to make this happen. I mean, come on, we launched Moab under him. And while I may not agree on the domestic front, I gotta say, his pick for SecDef of Mattis was a major score. He got a Marine's Marine in Mad Dog Mattis to literally run the show. And from what I've heard, he has basically said, Mad Dog, do what you need to do. Short of launching a nuclear attack, you go for it. And I think that's an awesome thing to do. Because, well, Trump has never been in the military. He has never worn the uniform. And for whatever that's worth, he said to Mad Dog, you know your business. And you got to admit, he's got the reputation. Now, what's going to be coming up this week with Mattis? Well, he's headed to Brussels for a major conference. Yes, NATO Defense Ministerial meeting. The groundwork has been being laid for this for months. Yes, months. Now, you don't just throw a bunch of defense ministers in a room and tell them to start talking. So, trust me, there have been a lot of early conversations, and the underlings have been hashing stuff out. But finally, the big dance has arrived. And he will be in Belgium, in Shape, Belgium tomorrow, which is where NATO headquarters is. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with this, before we get into the Middle East news, we're going to go over what I call my Middle East scorecard. Because trust me, you need a scorecard to keep the players straight, because even I get confused every now and a moon. So if I get confused, chances are you might too. Welcome back, Rex. I see you're in the chat room. I'm not big on gifts, but if you got one for My Middle East scorecard, that could be fun. All right, so let's discuss the Middle East. Although I'm going to start where you wouldn't think so. I'm going to start with Russia. Russia? Middle East? Yeah, Russia's propping up Bashar al-Assad in Syria with the help of Iran. Oh, yeah. Now, what's been interesting about this? What has been absolutely fascinating about this, at least from your host perspective, is that Iran and North Korea have been secret trading partners, or not so secret, depending on your point of view, for years. Kind of stands to reason the two most isolated nations in the world joined together. But that's not all North Korea has ever done. Why do we fear North Korea? Well, we fear them to a point, but we don't fear them. All right? And here's one of the reasons, and I've got a quick audio clip on why we fear North Korea and their nuclear capability.
10 years ago, the North Koreans transferred a plutonium production reactor to Syria. It was crushed by the Israelis. If it had not been crushed, that reactor could be providing plutonium not only to Syrians, but to others who have traipsed through Syria, and these are pretty unsavory folks. And that's an image that goes to nuclear terrorism we don't like to contemplate. So we need to somehow impress upon the North Koreans that's not a move we want to see again.
Oh yes, bet you didn't know that one. Hey, Slick. Not so sure that North Korea is a non-issue without China because their new favorite trading partner is Russia. And what Russia has done is there is a twice-a-week ferry from North Korea to Russia. Oh, yes, and Russia is trying to fill in the gap where China is backing off. So I'm not sure you're reading those tea leaves, Slick, or you're quite up to date. Because trust me, remember, I do this 5 days a week. And earlier this month, do you know what was found in South Korea? Oh, yes. A North Korean drone. Well, true, Russia is doing business with whomever they can, but trust me, they're giving to Iran and giving to North Korea. Mark my words. And Iran doesn't have the same bans on missile technology that North Korea does, and they are missile technology trading partners, Slick. And yet, Russia has sold defensive weapons to Iran. They've already made friends with North Korea. What's to say we aren't going to see Russian air defense pop up in North Korea? Yeah, they are trying to shore up their economy because they were dependent on the price of oil, and the price of oil, well, let's just say it ain't what it used to be. Now, back to my Middle East scorecard because I got right sidetracked. I'll get to that in just a minute. Slick, let me finish my scorecard here. So you got Russia propping up Bashar al-Assad in Syria, and then you've got Iran helping prop up Bashar al-Assad, and Iran and North Korea are trading partners. And then you've got Turkey. Well, Turkey's kind of a frenemy. Why do I call them a frenemy? Well, we do use their air base at Incirlik to launch attacks against Daesh. However, they don't like the Kurds. But we like one half of the Kurds. We like the YPG, which are the ones that are kicking tail, and I don't know if they're taking names or just rolling on by. So, you got I see your comments, Slick. Let me get there, okay? Turkey, yeah, you could say they're an enemy, but they do let us use the airbase. And we need that airbase right now. Pakistan, yeah, I'm going to put them on the enemies list, Slick. Jordan, they've got their moments. They're a frenemy. They're friends when times are good. But when it comes to when the going gets rough, they're gone. So, what's been going on? Well, since I brought up North Korea, let's finish that. At least try and finish that topic out. North Korea has been threatening an underground nuclear test for months. Everything looks pretty close to ready. However, all activity at the site suddenly ceased. Now, of course, we are coming up on another round of joint exercises with South Korea. Yes, another round of joint military exercises with South Korea. These aren't as big as the ones we hold in the summer, but there's always an exercise or two going on in South Korea. And don't forget, the South Korean president is coming to D.C. real soon. Dave, I'll get there. Don't worry. So, what does South Korea and their current President Moon have to do with anything? Well, for those of you who are unaware, and I had not intended to focus entirely on Korea, but we're going to do it for another few minutes. South Korea has to approve us striking North Korea unless it's in defense. So unless Quackers is just plain crazy enough, and well, he might be, to actually fire on one of our ships, then guess what? We can't do anything directly against North Korea in the conventional sense. Now, you guys know that I've got some special forces ties. And a little bit of inside baseball. This past exercise over the summer, there was quite the contingent of special forces on the peninsula. More than normal. And if you guys also want to play Read the Tea Leaves, we also have 3 carrier battle groups deployed. And we've had one over in the Korean area for a while. That's not news. But I have very rarely seen not 1, but 2 submarines dock in South Korea. They just don't do it on a routine basis. So then you throw in the fact that Japan, well, let's talk about Japan. Now, for those of you who are unaware, I'm going to remind you that we have military in both Japan, South Korea, and Guam that are already within range of the North Korean missiles that they already have. And I guarantee you they have been trading that missile technology with Iran. So, what about Warmbier? Well, we know, where does he play into it? Could he be the straw that broke the camel's back? He might be. However, I think China is learning a lesson, and I think they're backing away from North Korea. Here's why. They want our natural gas. They want us to trade natural gas with them. And not just a little bit. They want us to sell them natural gas. They have a huge population. And that's where all this stuff starts coming into play. Now, I've got a slightly older clip with Rex Tillerson talking about China. Let's take a quick listen.
China is a significant economic and trading power, and we desire a productive relationship. But we cannot allow China to use its economic power to buy its way out of other problems, whether it's militarizing islands in the South China Sea or failing to put appropriate pressure on North Korea. They must recognize that with a role as a growing economic and trading power comes security responsibilities as well.
All right, so Secretary of State Tillerson said that, guess what? They can be a good trading partner. But just because they're a good trading partner doesn't mean we're going to overlook all their flaws. Means we may give them a little bit of leeway, but it ain't going to be the end-all and be-all. Not a chance. All right, we are coming up on the bottom of the hour, so I do have a little bit more Asia-Pacific news while we're at it. And I wanted to mention that one of the other things that has caught my attention this past year, this past summer, both South Korea and Japan, and this happened in both places, okay? The U.S. military conducted evacuation drills. Now, I know friends that are stationed over there. They didn't just conduct evacuation drills with the military personnel. In fact, they didn't evacuate the military personnel. They did it with the families. Because you don't have families, pets, and all those in a war zone. Now, North Korea, talk about ratcheting things up. Quackers, you're crazy. Quackers? You think they're going to do this? You're crazy. North Korea has issued a standing order for the execution of former South Korean President Park Geun-hye and her spy chief for what it said was a plot to assassinate Kim Jong-un, and demands that South Korea hand the pair over. Now, keep in mind that A, they don't have an extradition treaty with North and South Korea don't have an extradition treaty. You can't get them to talk. And North Korea has also called to have our CIA director sent over so they can try him in this alleged plot. Okay, for those of you who have no idea what plot I'm talking about, North Korea claimed that Kim Jong-un was the plot of an assassination attempt, or assassination plot, which a U.S. and South Korean agent had allegedly turned some North Korean citizen in to be the person that carried it out. Well, A, no intelligence agency that I can get any bead on has ever even heard of this plot. And B, you actually think we're going to extradite anybody to North Korea? If so, you're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Or something. They're just not going to do it. So, no one in their right mind. There may be somebody that'll extradite somebody to North Korea, but I don't see it happen. Well, friends, I have hit the bottom of the hour, and I have got to go pay them bills. So, I will see you on the other side. And just as a reminder, you can always find me on Twitter at Jessie'sPOV, and I am hanging out in the chat room at KLRNRadio.com.
If you wanna forget what they say, and if you wanna turn your back on a country needing you right now, but I don't wanna.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine combat veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
Get your free inventor's information. Call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Alright, thank y'all for hanging in there with me while I paid them bills. And good night to you, Dave. Sorry you couldn't stay with me through the rest of the show. Now, back to the title of my show. And yes, we do sometimes airdrop to other people that aren't the most friendly to answer Slick's question. But I wouldn't say we're giving them anything, Slick. Sorry, you couldn't prove it by me. You come up with a solid article. I'll be happy to look into it. Alright, so why do I say Raqqa and Mosul are not the end? Well, those foreign fighters that have gathered have to go somewhere, and the ones that aren't killed on the battlefield are the ones I'm thinking about. Just in recent months, how many have returned home to Europe or been a part of the refugees that have gone into Europe? And how many terrorist attacks have we seen just in the UK? Let's see. We've got a terrorist suspect in Birmingham was facing extradition to Spain. We've got the London mosque van attack. We have, of course, the attack at the concert. Now, I'm going to say that no, we're not as vulnerable as the United Kingdom for a couple of reasons. One, our police are armed. Over in the UK, their police are not armed, except for a select few. You heard me. Their police are not armed. The other reason I'm going to say we're not as big of a target, easy of a target, you got the obvious distance. But then, you've also got concealed carry. And we all know, at least if you're willing to admit it, the only thing that's going to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Or a drone with an armed rocket. I'll take that too if you got it in your back pocket, but I doubt any of us do. But you're not going to be able to just walk down the street and start shooting people. We've had hammer attacks, knife attacks. So there's no guns in Europe. They turn to vans, they turn to bombs, they turn to other weapons. It hasn't made them safer. And no, Slick, I'm not going on a why you should carry rant. What stops a suicide bomber? Intelligence. And they are hard to stop, especially the ones who work lone or in small groups. But we have a problem. Our intelligence communities are drinking from a fire hose. And it's hard to drink from a fire hose. They have to be right 100% of the time. The terrorists only have to be right once. Now, I'm going to briefly dip a toe into U.S. politics. Just briefly. Everyone, well, there are a number of people that are outraged about Trump's quote-unquote travel ban. Folks, it involves 6 countries who are hostile or known to us or known to be state sponsors of terrorism. Host opinion here. Warning, host opinion. We don't need unlimited people from those 6 countries just wandering in. I'm sorry. We don't need it. I'm not saying that everyone in those 6 countries is bad. But I'm saying if they want to come here, they either A, need a reason, i.e. they have family here, in which case they may actually like our country. Or B, they're a student at a university, a professor, a speaker. Okay, cool, you can come for your short-term visa. Now, little known fact, we do issue visas to Iranians, North Koreans, Syrians, and all of the above. But they're very special visas. Those visas are for the United Nations and the United Nations alone. But they do have a limit. You stick a pin on a map at the UN. You draw a circle around it, 25 miles. That's where they're allowed to go. They have to live, work, shop, and do everything within that 25-mile radius. True, the 9/11 terrorists were on student visas. But they'd also, A, overstayed their visas. I think we do need, not to bring this to immigration, but I do think we need to tighten up our visa controls. But why do I say Raqqa and Mosul isn't the end all? Unfortunately, we will not be done fighting terrorism once this battle is over. Terrorism stems, and I'm going to say it's evil. I am not sticking up from terrorists or terrorism. And no, I'm not anti-Islamist, before anybody starts accusing me of that. I have Muslim friends. I've been celebrating Ramadan. I was celebrating Ramadan with one the other week, about a week ago. Not all Muslims are bad. However, there is that fringe percent that are just plain nuts. Now, Bashar al-Assad. Trump drew essentially a red line in the sand, saying, don't use chemical weapons on your people. And I'm happy to report that all the activity at that hangar has ceased. That's true, Slick. And did you know Thomas Jefferson actually fought terrorism? So this fight will be on for the rest of our lives. It's just changed shape. So, Bashar al-Assad. He has gassed his own people. And unlike previous presidents, our president said no. That ain't gonna happen. And I think, given that the planes were dispersed and there's been no movement at the hangar, where our intelligence community believes they store this stuff and load this stuff onto the planes, that Bashar al-Assad has flushed his dreams of a chemical attack down the drain. He may be able to barrel bomb his people, and he may be able to do other heinous things. But let's hope and pray his use of weapons of mass destruction days in terms of chemical weapons is over. Now, Iran's trying to gain a foothold in Syria because they want to expand their reach. Iran is now accusing U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson in a brazen interventionist plan to change the current government that violates the international law and UN Charter, according to, of course, Iran. Iran's UN ambassador said in a letter to Secretary Antonio Guterres that Tillerson's comments are a flagrant violation of the 1981 Algiers Accords, in which the United States pledged not to intervene directly, indirectly, politically, or militarily in Iran's internal affairs. Yet Tillerson, in a June 14th hearing before the House Foreign Affairs Committee, said that the U.S. policy is to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons and work towards support of those elements inside Iran that would lead to a peaceful transition of government. So, Iran is now, since they can't meet us on the battlefield, they have gone to the UN Secretary of Defense, Secretary General Antonio Guterres, and said, they're saying they want our government to change. That's not nice. No, 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 no. Slap them on the nose. Get a rolled up newspaper and swat them on the nose. I really don't think the UN's going to do anything, and most UN resolutions have very few teeth. So, now of course U.S. lawmakers have long sought to hit Iran with more sanctions in order to check its ballistic missile program. And continued support for terrorist groups, Hamas, Houthi rebels, Yemen, and some would add Bashar al-Assad. The bill that's being crafted imposes mandatory sanctions on people involved in Iran's ballistic missile program and anyone who does business with them. The measure would also apply terrorism sanctions to untie my tongue. The proposed legislation would also apply terrorism sanctions to the country's Revolutionary Guards and enforce an arms embargo. The Senate has passed it. It's on to the House. So maybe Congress got something right. Now, let's talk about what's going on in Mosul and Raqqa in the waning few minutes I've got. Now, for those of you who are new listeners to my show, I don't use the term ISIS or ISIL. I use DASH. DASH is the Middle Eastern acronym for the same group of people. Same evil group, different name, they just hate it more. And quite frankly, your host would prefer to use Daesh since it annoys them. Alright, so Daesh fighters blew up the 12th century mosque in the heart of the old city last week, along with its landmark minaret. And what did we think about that? Well, I'm going to let you take a listen and see what the Operation Inherent Resolve's press spokesman had to say about it.
Moving to Mosul, in the last 2 days, Iraqi security forces made significant progress, pushing into the old city and also isolating the Al-Jamuri hospital, severing the 2 remaining areas held by ISIS. Emblematic of their own impending destruction, on 21 June, ISIS destroyed the historic Grand Al-Nuri Mosque, from which al-Baghdadi proclaimed the caliphate in July 2014. The nearly 800-year-old mosque and the famous leaning Al-Hadba minaret stood as a symbol of faith and unity for the people of Mosul. ISIS used this mosque to publicly justify its criminal campaign of genocide, mass rape, slavery, and murder. On Wednesday night, as Iraqi counterterrorism service members moved within 50 meters of the mosque, ISIS detonated it with explosives. Their destruction of the mosque is another despicable act, another crime that is consistent with the hundreds of other ancient and historic artifacts ISIS has destroyed in their wake. The time is near when Iraq will celebrate.
I personally think the destruction of the mosque means, they don't see a way out. They see that the end is near. And I think they see their end coming. Now, so the Iraqi forces with the U.S. coalition is working on retaking the old city. What do we have to watch out for? We have to watch out for where those who are fleeing end up. So, the front lines were quiet in the old city as Iraqi special forces scouted the terrain. The troops ducked into the narrow alleyways. Remember, these places are very challenging to bring vehicles. And Iraqi Special Forces General Lieutenant General Abdul Wahab al-Sadi said Daesh holds very little territory inside Mosul at present, adding he hoped the operation would be concluded soon, possibly within days. Despite territorial losses, Daesh has managed to launch a number of counterattacks and insurgent assaults inside some Mosul neighborhoods that were retaken from them earlier this month. Now, this tells me that they're not going to go down without a fight, and what they're going to do, while they may not fight to the last man, because they have been proven on more than one occasion to be cowards. Oh yes. They have been proven to be a bit cowardly because they don't stand there and fight to the last man despite the fact that they are ordered to, they will usually run to save their own hides. Now, the conversation in chat has turned to Daesh chemical weapons.
Daesh has used chemicals in the vicinity of Mosul. The chemicals have had no impact on the Iraqi security forces. They've had no impact on our forces, and we're not certain at this time exactly what the agent is. We have sent back for testing, but we're still waiting for the outcomes of those testing based on my understanding.
And I believe it was found to be mustard gas. So, all right, so they are going to fight with everything they've got, and that's why they destroyed the minaret. They didn't want anybody else to get it. Now, let's talk Kurds for just a minute. We're going to bring them up. The stuff near Mosul was mustard gas. The stuff in Syria, Slick, was sarin. That clip referred to Mosul. So, U.S. Secretary of Defense Mattis said the Pentagon will continue to support the Kurdish militia known as the People's Protection Units, or the YPG, in their battle against Daesh after Raqqa is freed. Mattis said the recovery of weapons and equipment supplied to the Kurdish militias depended on several factors, including the success against Daesh. Now, of course, Turkey doesn't like this because they see all Kurds as terrorists and enemies. Now, I'm going to say the PKK are not my favorite bunch of Kurds. They blow up innocent people in the middle of Istanbul, Turkey. So, but the YPG, so far, they have done a fantastic job, and I am glad to hear that we will be supporting them even after the fall. Slick, you hang on in the chat room and we'll talk in a minute, okay? Alright, so Daesh leaders have been used spies to root out suspected enemies in their ranks in the countdown to this month's U.S.-led attack on their de facto capital. They described how the three wives of three Tunisian fighters who fled the Syrian town have described how leaders had fled Raqqa as pressure mounted. Yes. The leaders of Daesh are fleeing. They're leaving the ordinary fighters behind to die like sheep. And there is growing dissent within the ultra-hardline group in Syria within recent months. This tells me that if nothing else, maybe we can fracture them and break them into little tiny bits and pieces we can get rid of. Alright, folks, I have come to the end of my time. And on that note, you regulars know what's going to happen. Those of you new, hang on to your hats.